The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not represent the position of the host, this show, or any organization either party is affiliated with. All content is shared purely for educational and inspirational purposes. Nothing discussed here constitutes professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information before acting on it. The host is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from guest statements. By listening, you agree that you are solely responsible for how you use the information shared. Welcome to the Tech Sharmit podcast, where technology is not just news, but the roadmap to the future. This is a space where we explore the latest tech trends, AI, startups, gadgets, and the ideas that redefine the way we think. Leading this conversation is Amit Sharma, globally recognized as Tech Sharmit. A technologist from Bharat, Amit brings an Indian perspective to the global technology landscape. With deep technical expertise and strong industry insight, and for his contributions and impact within the global tech community, he has been recognized with several prestigious honors, including Google Developer Expert, Microsoft MVP, IBM Champion, and Planet Mainframe Influencer. Through this podcast, he shares practical knowledge, real-world perspectives, and globally relevant thinking designed to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving technology landscape. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Tech Sharmit channel to stay updated with future episodes. And if you're looking to level up your skills, don't forget to explore the Tech Sharmit digital course book in the description box, where you'll find thousands of free programming courses curated to help you grow as a developer. So plug in your headphones and join us as we begin today's episode of the Tech Sharmit podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I'm joined by another special guest, Ash Giddings, who is joining us from the United Kingdom. If I talk about Ash, he is a product manager and an IBM champion with over 2 decades of experience in enterprise software and IBM I environments. He worked extensively across product management, pre-sales, customer engagement, and cloud migration. So in today's episode, we will talk about IBM I, enterprise product thinking, modernization, cloud migration, and many more things. But before we get started, I would like to thank Ash for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Amit. Pleasure to be here today. So I guess how I got into IT, it was a different route to many others. I left school at 16, had very few qualifications, and really fell into IT by chance. I applied for to a local college for a 1-year course. It was kind of very general IT, but it covered development and operations, or sysadmin, as we now call it. And I kind of focused on operations. And during that time, I had 2 work placements. One at a local engine manufacturer. Mm-hmm. They were running IBM mainframe. It was quite an old-fashioned environment. They still used paper tape. They still used punch card. A lot of the operations staff wore white coats, which really intrigued me. They looked like doctors. So that was the first one. And then the second one was at a financial institution. Again, it was IBM mainframe, but they also had a subsidiary which had a System 38. And I spent most of my time in and around the System 38, and I got it. I understood it very, very quickly. So shortly after the college course finished, I was offered a permanent role. Spent lots of time operating a Xerox printer, a huge printer that filled a whole room, and it was a real eye opener, to be honest, for a 16, 17-year-old. Some jobs used to print 30 or 40 boxes of output. Okay. But it was a great apprenticeship working on the mainframe, the System 38, and of course the printer. But it was a financial institution, and they employed, as a result of a television promotion, they had kind of a fund management, hedge fund management side of things, and that really took off. So they employed a number of freelance people, and these freelance people arrived. They had very very flash cars and very flash suits. And I thought, well, I could do that as well. So I left to go freelance and then worked freelance for some years now. Some great places, some different places, a Japanese car manufacturer where everything was incredibly structured.
Okay.
Everything, you started at 8:55, you had lunch at 12:55 to 1:20. Everybody wore the same clothes. The structure and the discipline was great, absolutely great. And I guess some of the other more interesting places are a company in the UK. They were called Bass Brewers. I think it's Molson Coors now. And at the time, they had the largest IBMI shop in Europe. So they
Okay.
were first people to get BRMS. They were the first people to get something called Site View. They were one of the first in Europe with high availability, and they were running on big boxes, and they were kind of hitting the ceiling of performance very, very quickly. That was a huge shop. But I guess after freelance for a few years, it's living out of a bag really takes its toll. So I kind of came closer to home. Worked in automation for a travel company, and then I've had some time at Halcyon and Help Systems, now Fortra, and then I kind of arrived at Maxava nearly 5 years ago now, where I knew several people. It was a small company, and that's kind of where I've arrived, and I kind of work in between, I guess the glue in between technical sales and marketing as product manager at Maxava.
Okay. So here I want to ask you one question particularly about the mentality, because the boy who left the school at the age of 16 and the man who is leading the IT from the front. So what all things has been changed in that period? Like what was your earlier thoughts and now how it has changed? So overall, because you just shared your interesting journey, like how everything eventually came to the picture and your efforts, right? So overall, mindset wise, what all things have been changed in that period?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess when I started, you looked up to the older guys that sat in the corner, and you didn't know their name. They didn't speak much, but they had all the knowledge, all the technical knowledge,
Yeah.
and all the local knowledge. I think what you tend to see now, I guess with AI, new platforms, and everything that comes with that, people tend to look to younger staff for, I guess, for inspiration because they're
Correct.
fresh out of college. So some of the older guys tend to get left a little bit now, but they've still got that. They've still got the local knowledge. They still understand the machine, the application, the environment as well.
Yes.
So you need a kind of cross section of the younger guys and the older guys and
And the older
girls.
guys.
Yeah, that's right. In fact,
Yeah.
some of the webinars that we do kind of speak to that as well. I've done webinars with Dawn May and Tony Bastians from IBM and Torbjörn Apple, who's up in the Nordics.
Yeah.
So these tend to be kind of older guys, but with great experience. So we're trying to, I guess, much like yourself, we're trying to share that experience around people to say, hey, just because we've been working in IT for 15, 20, sometimes more years, this knowledge is really important as well. And this is why it's important. So
Correct.
we're trying to share knowledge around.
Okay. All right. So now Ash will talk a bit about your current role. In your current designation, like how do you bridge the gap between the highly technical IBMI environments and the business stakeholder? Because if we talk about both parties, on the one hand, we have a IBMI team who are completely aware of all the technical aspects, they know about the technical thing. But on the other hand, if we talk about the stakeholders, uh, they are too much interested into the results. They don't want to go into the backend process. They don't want to understand the things that are happening as a technical thing, right? So in that situation, we have comparatively different parties on the both hand. So how do you bridge the gap between these two type of parties when you are dealing with their work?
That's interesting because that's exactly what we're working on right now in
Mm-hmm.
Maxava with IBM HADR. We see that technical people want to know that their data is synchronized, that it's updated in real time. They want to ensure that data integrity is good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas management, they just want to know, can we roll swap? Are we in a position where we can roll swap? So we've developed something called Swap Ready Audit,
Okay.
which really is an annual health check of an environment, ensuring that everything that's needed to roll swap is in place, the right
Mm-hmm.
data is being synchronized to the right place, that setup and configuration hasn't drifted over time, because it does with different people's hands on it.
Yeah.
And if all good, we provide a digital stamp to say the environment is good, it's been verified by the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
And so really it's an independent audit to say that we're roll swap ready.
Okay.
And this is a kind of an annual thing. In the UK, we have something called an MOT on a car, which you have to go to say the car is roadworthy each year. And you get a stamp, and then you can then drive your car. It's a similar thing, really.
Correct.
It's I guess an interactive health check to say you're good, you're all green for another year.
Hmm. Right.
So we see that's important. Senior management, they don't want to know the detail. They just want to see the green light. They want to see
Correct.
the stamp each year. So that's kind of where we go. That's kind of where we see things as well. There are less and less IBMI technical skills in the market, and we see people have very diverse roles as well. Nobody just looks at IBMI HADR for a company now. They'll
Hmm.
be looking at other platforms. They'll be looking at AI. They'll be looking at security. They don't have the time to invest.
Correct.
So that's why we think this is really important to come along and to verify that environment and to give it that stamp of approval.
Yes, and I think this is very important role because if someone is there who can bridge the gap between the stakeholder and the business team, then things would be much more easier for the IT team also to work according to the requirement because they know where to work, how to work, and what to deliver. So that's a great contribution of your profile.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, with regards to that,
Mm-hmm.
in in some disciplines, um, it can act as a almost a reduction in insurance as well. If you say that you've got an environment, it's been tested, it's been verified, it's roll swap ready, insurance policies that these businesses have to take out, it can act as a reduction in that as well. So
Correct.
that's valuable. It can actually save you money.
Right, right. Yes. Okay. And one more thing, Ash, like currently you are serving as a product manager, right? But prior to that, you also have exposure to the pre-sales domain. And often, like we heard that pre-sales is often underestimated. So how does your pre-sales background make you a better product manager nowadays? Like, is it helping you in your current designation?
Yes, it's I guess where I work at the moment, Maxava, it's not a large company. So
Mm-hmm.
my official title is product manager, but I tend to do a bit of a hybrid role, split
Okay.
between three disciplines really. So pre-sales, helping customers understand I guess, the value of our solutions and how
Mm-hmm.
they can help them address pain points, address operational issues, and ensure that them and their data are protected.
Mm-hmm.
The second element is product marketing. So translating the development and the products we've got into I guess, into a language that the customers will understand. So that's
Mm-hmm.
via webinars, white papers, industry talks. And then I guess the final element of the jigsaw is the product manager side of things. And that's helping prioritize our development roadmap to ensure that the current customer base is happy and that, of course, we drive new business.
Mm-hmm.
even though the platform has been around a number of years, it's things it receive a lot of development with IBM, and we just have to make sure that we align with that. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
7.6 came out recently,
Mm-hmm.
and we were very quick to take a look at what that means to the customer base. And MFA was introduced at the operating
Yes.
system level. So we've looked at that, and now we can replicate the elements and the data that MFA talks to. So
Okay.
very, very quickly. So we try to align with customers and the changing technical challenges as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay. And Ash, like if we talk about IBMI, because we all know that IBMI is a platform that has been around for the decades, yet it is still running a critical operation for thousands of the enterprises. So what do you think? Like, why do you think it is so misunderstood in the broader tech conversation? Like when we are talking about IBMI, why it is so misunderstood nowadays?
Yeah, that's a good question, because some code that was maybe written in I don't know, 1987 would still run on IBMI today, and it does.
Yes.
There's dozens of companies worldwide that the applications change very little, and
Correct.
the operating system and the hardware is absolutely rock solid. Maybe sometimes it's too reliable, and people just forget that it's running. It doesn't cause them any problem. It's just gathering dust in the corner. But I think the reason it's misunderstood is there is very little external marketing from IBM.
Mm-hmm.
IBM do a great job talking to the customer base at events and webinars, but there's
Yeah.
very little outside that kind of narrow set. So that the perception is that it's old technology, it's green on black, but hey, Linux has a command line and is perceived very modern. And in
Correct.
fact, I think it was last year, I did a webinar with IBM. I spoke to
Mm-hmm.
IBM, and we looked at Africa as a continent, and the perception in Africa was that it was old platform. They still refer to it as I series and AS400, and they thought it was disappearing. It was old technology. So I worked with IBM on a webinar where we talked about, did you know that IBMI is modern technology? And we had a huge audience in their hundreds, and
Mm-hmm.
most of these were business partners. So we're trying to get the message out there in different ways through white
Yeah.
papers and webinars. But I think the bottom line is some of it is marketing and getting the message out there in the same way that maybe Windows does and Linux does. And so this is today's technology. Some of the stuff built into IBMI now is great. It's cutting edge, but we're often preaching to the converted and not a new audience.
Okay. Yeah, and I think for breaking down those kind of myth, we need more such kind of sessions, seminars, and more public awareness kind of thing, maybe through social media platforms, through podcasts. Because if everyone understand the real aspect of IBMI, they will understand that no, it is not a legacy platform. As you compare it with the Linux, it is almost similar, right? It is a command line. Still, people are not conceiving it as a the old or legacy technology, and I think these are the need of the time. Like more and more such sessions should be there so that people understand real capability of the IPMI system.
I think so. I think so. I think it's really, really important. If you look at the IBMI and maybe just look at the system administrator tools, Navigator for I, you can pretty much do everything from a
Yes.
browser that traditionally had to do on the green screen. Um, it's moved and it's moving with the times. So I think the future is very bright for the platform.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, if we talk about the artificial intelligence, it has come up with the Bob, IBM Bob. So you can work with artificial intelligence and IBM. So it's a great combination. So it is not a dying technology, it is an advanced technology which is adopting the things according to the time need.
Absolutely, and I believe you can now run kind of AI natively on AI
Yes,
as well, which with people frightened and reluctant to put their data anywhere, that's very important and worth its weight in gold. So I think the
correct.
future is bright. We need to tell more people. I think maybe if everybody that worked in IBMI told three new people about the platform, we would do really well. Even if it's in
Correct.
cafes or in bars, we should be telling people.
Right, right. Okay, so now Ash, we'll talk bit about the cloud migration because we all know that cloud migration for IBM might come up with unique challenges. So from your exposure to that area, what are the biggest misconception customer walk in with, and as a leader, like how you correct them, how you let them know about those common misconceptions or break down their myths. So how you work with that?
Yeah, I think people think it's as easy as copying a file from
Mm-hmm.
a C to a D drive to move data, but IBMI environments are very transactional heavy,
Correct.
and they've grown historically over the years, and the amount of historical data that comes with that is often many, many terabytes, sometimes more. Um, so customers think that they can almost drag and drop that data from on-premise to private or public cloud.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as simple as that. So we work with them. Of course, there are no tape drives in the cloud. So we work with them on kind of minimizing downtime windows. In some cases, they're very small. Some cases, they're non-existent. So
Mm-hmm.
we work with customers dovetailing with virtual tape libraries and a migrate live utility to help them migrate with, I guess, zero or near zero downtime, keeping the data in sync between on-premise and the cloud throughout their testing phase. And we've got a great example, actually. We work with a large education company. I think they were in Singapore, and they were moving their business to the US, to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And they were adding around 15 gigabytes a day to their environment. And we helped them migrate to the new box in New York that was running a different version of the operating system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they did a backup in Singapore to tape. They shipped that tape. It arrived 4 days later. It was restored, and we used Maxava as with a manual sync point
Okay.
on that data to replicate from there onwards. And we did that with, I think there was zero downtime in that particular environment. The cloud is more challenging. As I say, there are no tape drives, but I
Yes.
think with manual sync points, so some data can be FTP'd there, some data can be used with virtual tape libraries,
Correct.
and we tend to work with those environments. So we do lots of cloud migrations, often to Kyndryl's Cloud Uplift or IBM's Power VS or to partner private clouds, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all slightly different. We do tend to find that often the biggest challenge is the comms side of things. The data, once we actually get set up and configured, the data is quite easy.
Yeah.
Comms is always the biggest challenge with cloud migration, and that can span various teams. So our side of things is quite simple. It's the comms that always trips people up.
Okay. Although the way you have explained, it sounds very simple that how you manage all these things, but on the practical side, we know that there are so many things that we need to take care of, and there are proper skill set as well as a right team is needed for such kind of migration when we are working with the IBMI system.
Yeah, I think so. The good thing is now that IBM have I guess the IBM I is now more portable than ever it has been before.
Correct.
You've always been able to move Windows environments and Linux environments here,
Yeah.
there, and everywhere. Whereas I, from a heavy transactional type application and operating system, has always been harder to move.
Agree.
It's now not hard to move. There are things that can trip you up, but it is very portable now. So don't be scared and fully embrace the cloud, I would say.
Right, right. Okay. One question here from the perspective of MSPs. So for MSPs looking to better their to better leverage their IBMI environment, if you had to share one piece of advice for them, so what would you share with them, and so that they can better leverage their IBMI environments?
Cool, one piece. That's quite hard. I think maybe following on from what I just talked about, customers' boxes can be anywhere now. They can be
Mm-hmm.
on premise, co-location, private cloud, public cloud. Um, so the challenges for MSPs monitoring those customer boxes in different locations
Mm-hmm.
is horrendous from a communications point of view. So we've got a solution called MI8 that doesn't care where the boxes are. It's just an SSL connection, either
Mm-hmm.
direct or by proxy. And then those boxes can be managed from a single cloud interface. So I think having that is really important. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to manage
Correct.
those environments. But I guess the second part of that is to reduce what I call reduce the noise. So
Mm.
many MSPs, they provide remote monitoring and management for customers, but very few of them have monitoring what I call sorted. I visit them and I see hundreds of alerts from those environments, meaning they end up getting used to seeing lots and lots of alerts and lots of outstanding alerts. Ideally, you want a single console that spans multiple customers and environments, and there should be nothing on there 90% of the time. So it's monitoring by exception.
Correct.
And it sounds really simple, but don't set alerts up that tell you a backup has finished. Instead, have an alert that gets raised if a backup overruns or fails with an unacceptable completion code. It sounds really simple, but many people don't do that. They're very old-fashioned and generic in their approach, and they receive too many alerts. And you just become, in the UK, we have a saying, you can't see the wood for the trees. There's just too much going on. So
Okay.
minimize that and monitor by exception. It will save you time and money, and it'll ensure you won't miss important alerts that are maybe hidden behind non-important ones.
Okay. All right. Here, I think now it's time to talk a bit about the HADR as well. So, from your so far experience, what do you think? Like, how is IBMI HADR different now to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago if we compare the current HADR with the older versions? So, how it has changed overall?
Ooh, I'm trying to think back to when I kind of first worked in HADR, and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But the boxes were local. They were split across a car park. But I guess it used to be single nodes. So one box replicating to another box close by using internal storage. That was the only option. Now we see customers using external storage. We see businesses looking at public, private clouds, mixing them with on-premise.
Mm-hmm.
We also see multiple nodes now. So we see one production box replicating to maybe a HA box
Okay.
close by, and maybe then to a DR box up in the cloud. People are looking to, I guess, share the risk. If one of those goes down, they've still got another one.
Mm.
We also see customers needing to to prove that they can satisfy regulations worldwide. It's no longer enough to say, I have HADR in place. Auditors used to say, thank you very much, that's great. Now you have to prove, I mentioned it earlier, you have to prove that you can recover that environment as well. And I mentioned before, it could drive down insurance costs. So I guess the flexibility, and this comes with logical replication solutions, you can, if it's supported by IBM's remote journaling, it's supported by logical replication. People have one-to-many boxes. They have many-to-one. So they might have 2 or 4 boxes feeding into one. You can daisy chain them and all sorts of setups. And that really works with modern environment, with on-premise, public cloud, and private cloud. So I think the flexibility in being able to flex to whatever the business wants is the biggest change.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Ash, as you shared so many informational things about IBMI ecosystem, I think now it's time to talk a bit about the support network in your journey. So looking back on your career, like who were the key people around you who had a defining impact on your journey so far?
I was thinking about this, and that's a great question. There have been many, many people over the years. And I guess this kind of really started with me stumbling into IT many, many years ago. And it was just a throwaway conversation with a friend. I was in a kind of a role in a shop, and I was thinking, I don't enjoy this at all. I have to work every Saturday. And he said, well, what are you good at? And I said, well, I'm good at maths. I'm okay at, it was called computer studies back then. And he said, well, why don't you go on a computer course? And that's exactly what I did. So I have to thank him. I think in business, throughout my career, there's probably far too many to mention.
Yeah.
So I guess individually, people that have taken a chance on me. And then, of course, probably my family. I have to thank my family for allowing me to work strange shifts while keeping everything running at home, being able to travel, which is a necessity with a role, installations all over Europe and all over the world.
Right.
So I think having the family and making sure that the family and the home life continues while you're pursuing an often random career, getting calls at strange time in the nights and having to go away for 4 days here and there. I think that's probably the most important thing to me.
Yes. Yeah, that's a huge support, especially from the family end, because you have to do so many other responsible things, and they are allowing to spend your time beyond those family hours. So that is a very important kind of support that can be offered to a family.
Yes, and I think it often gets forgotten and overlooked.
Yes,
It's a
right.
team role.
Correct. Okay, so now one thing regarding the place you belong from. So as a proud citizen of United Kingdom, what one thing you would like to share with the global audience that you feel proud to share with everyone about United Kingdom or UK?
Oof. I think the one thing is and I often forget this, how well connected the UK is. We can get to so many countries in Europe within 2 hours. I've probably been to about 27 or 28, all within Europe, all within 2 hours of London. So using the UK as a base, as a home, and being able to hop to different countries throughout Europe is really important. And I forget this often. I have to speak to lots of Americans, and if they fly for 2 hours, they're still in the same state. In the UK, if you fly for 2 hours, you've traveled through 2 or 3 different countries, and just seeing and experiencing the culture in the wider Europe is fantastic, I think. And we probably in the UK, we don't realise how lucky we are to have that on our doorstep. So it's a bit
Right.
of a strange one, but I think that's an important thing, and I guess that stands for all Europe as well. It's from one country to the next, just over the border, is totally different. Totally different.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, thank you so much, Ash, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing so much insightful information regarding the IBMI ecosystem, H area, and many other informational things. It was really a nice talking with you, and I hope you also enjoyed the discussion. So, thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Thank you, Amit. Always a pleasure to speak to you and an absolute pleasure to join you today.
Thank you.